All right, hello everybody. Welcome back to the workshop, and let's continue on with the series on Egyptian hieroglyphs. Part 4. We're up to the concept that we know as the letter N, and of course, don't forget, these glyphs. They're just the vehicle, which are getting us to the core concepts. Okay, the original set of concepts that defined, the realities of life. They're not arguable. These things are facts, and that is what was the basis of our original language. So the symbol N is energy. Right. Now, just here we did in the last video letter M. Okay, and so it's essentially the masculine aspect of organic life. And down here, when we get to it, we'll have a look now. The W is the feminine. Okay, so, and the the masculine and the feminine energy are comprised of vitality, and that's the symbol V. So you can see in the letter W that it is two V's joined together. And a lot of people know this already, and that's fine. But the differentiation is important, and there's two V's, and of course we know the V shape from the middle area of a female's body, and also you'll see it in the clothing that women wear, the V-shaped neckline, and there's a good reason. Obviously, it's very symbolic of why that cut is very popular. Okay, now the two V's, they don't have any end. This is a segment of a continual wave. So the organic feminine is more important than in that it specifically represents the everlasting life aspect, the continuance, and that the women are the gender, the sex, however you want to say it, that carry life forward. Okay, whereas so there's no ending basically on the W. The wave continues on, but with the M concept for the masculine, it does. These vertical lines on either that border the V in the middle of the M, they signify that it is a finite life. Okay, whereas the W represents the ongoing, unending life cycles. The masculine concept, or the man concept, implies an individual life, male or female, or bird or lizard or ant. Okay, it just says that individual lives are finite, yet all lives carry forward in cycles, right, carrying this vitality, this V. Okay, so that's where the symbolism in the letters itself, as we know them in the Latin alphabet, that's where it comes from. That's what the shape means. Now, when we get to the letter N, you can see that we have these vertical, again, representations of boundaries, and the straight line of entropy, of the energy in the matter on the path of entropy, traveling from a starting point, or you could have it at the top, whichever one you like, right? Traveling from a start point to an end point. Right? It's the shape itself recognizes that matter and energy had a beginning. They had to have started somewhere, and if they are eternal, well, then they're eternal. But the concept's here saying they travel a straight path to an eventual end point. Okay, so the entropy concept, that's what we believe. Although the matter itself won't disappear, the interactions between the matter will become impossible due to just dispersal, distribution. So let's move on to the actual glyph symbol now. We've covered a bit of the concept behind the symbol in the letter. Now the symbol in the picture, we just revert to one small, thick, vertical rectangle, and that's immediately visible over in this fellow, and in many places. You'll see it just here at the start of this sentence here, whereas the three of them put together, that's balance of energy and matter. This is just singular overall concept of energy, which is tied to the matter particles. So this little introduction to this sentence here, although it's cut off again, you can see we have the earth symbol here, cycle of life, and the energy and the matter with organic energy come together with a female and a male in balance, right, to join unified, in joining unified creation, and on as I read into the last one. Okay, so there is our, it's component matter. This is the introduction saying these are the components, the ingredients that go together to create life. And then onwards we shelter it, and it grows, and it yeah, on and on it goes. So we'll get to that. We need a few more symbols. The snakes, we haven't got to the snakes yet. Very important. Okay, so when it comes to the concept of energy, it's a little bit different in that a lot of the other concepts seem to line up with overall concept and a life level, humanity and individual. Whereas when we come to the energy, it's laid out a little bit differently. So they recognized, as I believe, the energy overall, and the next classifications were the energy that comes from the sun and the energy that comes from the moon, and then the energy of things that are alive. And that's our long, thin wave line, our sine wave line, our joining of the vitalities in sequence. So the energy from the sun and energy from the moon, they're differentiated, I guess, because we recognize that the energy from the sun is much more direct, obviously, and that all that comes at night, although it still is, you know, viewed as a beneficial energy for people, it's a reflected light energy, so it's much less intense. Excuse me, let's get the right picture while I'm just thinking out loud to myself. And plenty of examples, very common symbol, energy from the sun, as you could imagine. The sun was very important in, and we recognize that that was the energy. That's where it came from, and they're right. That's that's what powers the cycle. So here's our representations here. So the reason the sun and the moon were semicircular, I guess, is to differentiate, to remove the confusion developing between having many circular symbols to refer to the circle of life here in the bonding symbol, in the, you know, the Eye of Horus shape, the circle in there, the Saturn representation. So when it came to sun, well, all of these glowing discs in the sky, how do we represent them a little bit differently? Well, from what I can gather, although there's, I don't think there's any in this picture that are filled or not filled, but I think that was the differentiation. So an unfilled sun, I'll see if I can find you another one, represented, uh, there's our fist shape from the other day in the give, and the take and the give concept here, the give and the take. Not sure if these are read vertically or from the bottom up or from the top down. I haven't fathomed that yet. But yeah, there's a nice little encapsulation there, of take and give, or share and receive. Okay. So, yeah, and the moon would be represented. So I think we can see it in this example here. Okay, it could be the other way around. Okay, but we have both, right? So we have filled in, we have unfilled in. And I believe these, although these are very, very flat, again, the artistic interpretation and representation changed so much over time that, again, we see it here represented in this shape. This is an even more upward bulbous version, but I'm pretty sure it is the same thing. Yeah, so concept again, but some small variations in the actual symbolism. And there we can see it in this fellow. This is very ornate, this piece. If it is in fact a real glyph, but I'm not even sure of that. But you can see there's the semicircular shapes again, the northern hemispheres. Okay, rising sun and rising moon motif there. But interesting that in some aspects they are represented filled and others not filled. So I think at this stage that's the differentiation. And maybe the differentiation was lost at some period of time, but it seems to be there at some point. And then, okay, so that virtually covers our energy section there. Because the energy itself, they recognise it's not alive. And it applies differently. All right, our O, right, we pretty well already know O. This is going to be pretty easy to go through. If you see a circle, right, one whole circle with nothing inside it, generally, or there may be a small dot inside, that may be a replacement for the individual. But generally, where you see just a full circle, that means cycle. That's reference to the cycle of life. Okay, and then I've got here on my list, yep, okay, with a dot inside it, then it becomes referring to cycles of life. And then if it is the eye shape without an eyeball in it, it's referring to human life cycles. Okay, so this is from the Eye of Horus. And then if the Eye of Horus shape has an eyeball inside, well, we're individual human life cycle. That's what that one means. Again, very quickly, obviously, we know this symbolism, and it's yeah, very, very common and very regular throughout all glyphs. Um, Now, I'll do a video soon too. I was thinking explaining all the symbolisms that I've put into my productions or lack of production, but that is part of the symbolism of what I'm doing here. So yeah, stumble and fumble my way through it. Right, potential. I really like the concept potential. This is great. Okay, so for inorganic potential, there was again, we come back to the straight lines. So we had the rectangular, the thick sort of flat rectangles, right, with short vertical lines protruding up out of the rectangle. So let's see if I can quickly just track down to which I refer. If there is a good picture of it, there is generally one in this glyph. This is near almost alphabetical. Now here's my other ones. Oh, I can't find it, guys. All right, let's try another one. I don't think it's in this one from memory. There it is, there it is. Right, down here at the bottom. I'll zoom you up even more. Come right in. Ooh, right here. This rectangular shape here with these vertical lines coming out of it, this is basically saying potential energy. Right, it's saying here's the energy and it's searching. It has this energy here. These are like the electrons waiting to link up with other electrons, right, and come together and connect. So this comb shape, if you like, this is the representation of potential energy and the overarching total concept for potential energy. I love the symbolism in that. Um, it almost looks like a bed of nails. There's many ways you could look at these symbols, but that is what that's demonstrating, and it then becomes very closely linked to a concept of stored potential, right, or stored energy. So this is the potential energy that's locked up inside something that's bonded together, right? So for this concept, when we split it apart again, energy is released, right? So that's inside of a bonded um, compound, if you like, or right, there is still energy there and potential energy to be released. Okay, and this first concept of just potential means like no bond has occurred yet. Right? Searching for a bond, and our symbol for the potential stored organic energy is this one here. See, inside a rectangle, we have a line which has these wave-like, again, the sine wave organic or energy motif. Here they are up here. All right, it's saying that inside here, this is a bond carrying potential. Right? I love it. It's really when you realize how to look at it, it's very cool. And then unknown for me at this time, potential of humanity, the in real terms and in terms of the glyphs, and funnily enough. But there are a couple of potential symbols for potential of humanity. If I come across them as we travel, I'll mention them. At the moment, the one I'm sure is correct. The potential of an individual person is represented as a star. And I, again, love this concept because it's threaded through mythology and biblical stories. It is such a common motif. It's in, I believe, Pinocchio. I believe Geppetto is wishing upon a star. This is the potential, and dreaming of the potential of an individual. Let's get a picture in here. There are several. Here we go. Star shape. Probably a couple of others in here. Let's check my other glyphs quickly, see if there's any other stars in those. I don't think there was in this one. No. And does this one have any stars in it? No, it does not. This one doesn't either. Okay. We'll look at here. This, I presume this is our Horus, the falcon. You can see the symbol of energy. This one's energy entering into a cycle. So it's coming out of the top of Horus's head. There's a good reason why he's standing on that snake down there too. I believe there was a change to a degree in the symbol for unity, in that initially over here, as we saw, and in many instances, it's represented as this tower of converging lines. But I believe it sort of evolved and became more just simply like what we know the A shape today, or this very tall pyramid shape here became the symbol for unity, right? So I think it's interchangeable with the tower as well. You can see this, it being offered, this unity concept here is being offered in this motif. And another quick point is I've noticed where you have these glyphs encompassed in, a ellipse like this, they're generally a reference to descendants, genealogy, and ancestry. So they were birth records in a lot of cases, or this could perhaps is a record of a marriage between two people. Not sure because there's no differentiation here on the birds' beaks or feathering. They're the same. So, hey, not sure what's going on there, but you can see these two birds, and then with an egg on the ground here, this life cycle symbol, or human life cycle potential, but it's an egg, isn't it? So it's birds laying the egg on the ground here for potential to create new life. Okay, not sure what the lion means yet. Haven't covered lion, but it's not very common anyway, from what I've seen. It's one of the few spots that I've seen that one in there. Okay, so star, right? Potential of an individual person, right? Represented as a star then and still is today. Okay, that's why we call a famous person a star. Okay, not a lot has changed, guys. It's just a little confused. All right, let's maybe have one more. I'm not sure where we're up to time-wise. We'll wrap it up. Maybe we'll do R, hey? Let's have a look at what I've got for what we know as letter R. And letter R refers to concept of restoring something and not bringing it back again. Restore means to take something and move it from this place to that place. It's a transportation reference, right? You restore an item. You store it here, or you restore it somewhere else. Okay, so this is restoration is a reference to movement, right? Taking items or a life or whatever it may be and relocating it to somewhere else. Now, the overall concept and the life level concept. Now, I have a couple of questions here because I think there are going to be two more to add in at this stage for restoration. One of them, I believe, is the vultures in the bird motifs. I think that is a reference to the restoration, okay, of perhaps of an individual or perhaps life in general. But I think life in general is this one, and perhaps the reference to the restoration of an individual is the bird, but it doesn't correlate with the general use of the birds to represent the overall living things concepts. So again, a little bit of confusion there, but on this the exact symbol, but the concept, these concepts existed. So in terms of the overall, a flat rectangle with a concave top line. So what I mean when I say that is that we take a, let's see what we've got here. We take one of our rectangle shapes, like here it is as an altar, okay? So one of these in is our potential one down the bottom. So we take our inorganic and we change this top line into a bowl shape, essentially. See if I can get it out of this one. There it is there. Okay, guys, so this symbol here, this is our rectangle, and the top line has been turned into a concaved arc. And that's our symbol for restoring something and the overarching concept. Why? I hear you say this is very vague. Well, if you're looking at it in the right way, it's not. What this is a very cleverly representation of the cross section, a segment of a riverbed. Okay, so this is the earth, and you see you walk into the river down to its deep in the middle and back up to the shallow on the other side. And of course, what the water does in a river is it restores things. It picks them up and it moves them from one location to another. Okay, so this is what this symbol represents. It's the river concept of things being restored, right? Living things and non-living things, rocks carried down the river, tree branches, fish themselves. Right? Okay, concept restoration overall, and then restoration of life, a concave line with a straight top line. So this is the missing segment to the puzzle piece of the first one we just talked about, is now it's the water itself. So that's represented as like an elliptical, elongated southern hemisphere shape. Okay, so we see, let's hope if I can find a plain one. This is very similar, you will see. It almost is this without the handle on it. Okay, because this with the handle on it, this symbol means to carry. Right? This is a carry. And if you take this little handle off, there it is. Okay, there it is down there. So see up here, this is Saturn in here being carried by, and these references are to carrying. Restore the deprived, right? So remember we were saying that Saturn It means the deprival of humanity, deprived energy at the humanity level. So this is saying that it is restoring what was deprived of to humanity. Okay, that's what this little section means. And this one underneath is saying it restores life. Okay, restoring. So this little statement says restoring what is deprived of humanity restores life. That's what these symbols read in sequence. And why? Well, obviously, this is the water now. This is the water itself. You just take that piece, slot it inside the river, and there you have your river with water in it. But this reference here, with as it just is floating, it's the water on its own. It's the actual organic concept, I guess, because they understood that water was essential component for organic life. Okay, so the restoring and taking and moving of something was done by water. Okay, and these are the representations for water in that respect. And this one is very specifically river. Okay, in this concept of using water as a transporter, because water appears in still bodies, and and it also takes the shape of whatever container you put it into. So that's becomes a part of the glyph representations as well. All right, let's wrap it up for this one. We'll call it there at part 4. Next one, we'll go ahead and look at the snakes. They mean symbol, of course. S for symbol, S for snake. All right, and nothing's changed. Okay, again, some confusion about what snake means, and let's consider the Garden of Eden and just in general Harry Potter, like the basilisk. There's just snake references everywhere. Okay, but snake, think it's been demonized a lot compared to what we used to use the symbolism of snake for. Yeah, we'll look at the T's shapes for beginnings and the carry we've already mentioned, and we looked at the vitality. We'll look at some of the pictures for that, and we'll get to the end of the alphabet where we end, and then we have convergence, divergence, vergence, and then our energy leaves the cycle and we go back up to the top again. All right, guys, getting near to the end now. Stick in, share it with your friends if you like this. Subscribe, give it a like, and yeah, hope you had a good time. I'll see you all again soon, guys. Thank you.